Hello guys, what's up? How's it going? Today I am doing a ranking video of the American Horror Story series. Now, I did a video a bit like this when I did my Pixar one, but today I want to rank the American Horror Story series by the ones I kind of felt were better than others, and just a general rundown. I have included the new series Cult, but where I've put it, it could change depending on how the series unfolds. So far I've put it where I think it could end up. And just based on how sort of different it is compared to some of the other seasons. So I have included it, but like I said, this is subject to change. It might be that in 3 weeks' time I think it's complete pants and it gets put in the bomb. So who knows? Right, we will start off. So the one I liked the least out of all 7 seasons that American Horror Story have produced is Roanoke. Now I know that Roanoke was different. Series 6 was a completely different outlook on the American Horror Story series. So it didn't have the traditional anthology series sort of layout to it. There was no title sequence that was sort of the same as the other seasons, and it was just a very different way it was shot, and I just didn't enjoy it. I kind of felt like it was over dramatized, and for some of the actual storyline, the way it unraveled just became way too reality TV, and I didn't like that because American Horror Story isn't like that. So I wasn't mad keen on it. I mean, I did give it a chance, and it was dramatic in places, just I didn't personally enjoy it as much. I will say I have a very big space in my heart for the title sequences at the start of all of the American Horror Story series, and obviously the new series of Roanoke completely changed its layout and didn't include that, so I was kind of gutted and I just didn't enjoy it as much. So at number 6 I've picked Coven. Now the only reason Coven's a little bit low down is that I still thought it was a very good series and I really enjoyed it, but it was just a bit tamer compared to some of the other seasons. Now compared to series 1 and 2, Murder House and Asylum, Coven just was a little bit more underrated. There wasn't as much violence, I suppose. There was a bit more gore in certain places, but the storyline itself was very kind of basic and it just wasn't as entertaining, I think, as the previous 2 seasons, so that's the only reason why it's at number 6. I still really enjoyed it. The titles were really cool. I liked the fact that it was all to do with witches and it was set in modern day, but just wasn't as entertaining as some of the other seasons. At number 5 I've picked Murder House. Now Murder House was a brilliant series. That's obviously the one that kicked off the whole set of American Horror Story, and it was really good. I loved the fact that there was so much character development, and actually for a lot of it you don't really know who's alive and who's dead, which is something American Horror Story is very good at. You know, you can go through a whole series and think that someone's actually alive and actually they died 50 odd years ago, but they're still around, and I just liked that sort of premise to it. It was a bit exaggerated in places, but I loved Jessica Lange and I think she's just amazing, really. At number 4 I've picked Cult. Now the only reason why Cult is sort of where it is at the moment is because this series is very dark. It's taking a little bit longer to unravel, which I know American Horror Story likes to build up suspense and things like that. It's just took a little bit longer, and I want to give it the benefit of the doubt. I'd like to think that it's going to be one of the best series that they've produced, but I don't know. I just think it is a bit slow at the moment, and that's just my personal preference. It might be that, you know, they'll shove something in our faces in the near future that may alter my perception of it altogether, but at the moment I am happy with it being at number 4, and I do love the titles for this one actually, because even though they're quite gory and kind of creepy, I love sort of the breast band element they've got going to it, which I think is really cool. And I do love how American Horror Story has just started changing up its intros a little bit. I mean, for the first 3 seasons it was pretty much the same music and everything, but then they've started adding little sort of twists in how the music is being produced, so I quite like that. At number 3 is Asylum. Now Asylum is probably one of the most talked about series of American Horror Story. It's certainly very up there in terms of gore and suspense and just sort of complete and utter twists and turns, and it is very, very good. At first I wasn't quite sure about it, to be perfectly honest. I think just because Murder House was set in modern day, it was very different having something set in the past, but I like the links. I like the fact that, you know, there is a character in there that you do see in later seasons, and, you know, the fact that you know, there's that whole sort of storyline based on it, and you know, Briarcliff is actually quite a twisted asylum. It's very interesting. I really liked it. And number 2 is Freak Show. Now I loved the title sequence to this series. It was really good. I had it on my phone as my ringtone for a long time because I just loved the bounciness of it, like the circus. It was really, really cool. It was a bit exaggerated in places, and at first I wasn't mad keen on it actually. The first episode I saw of it, wasn't sure if I was going to enjoy it, but I got hooked, enjoyed it, and even now can sit and watch it again and I'm still just as interested. So that leaves at number 1 is Hotel. Now Hotel was the newest season that didn't feature Jessica Lange, because Jessica Lange left at series 4 Freak Show. So this featured Lady Gaga. Now I wasn't quite sure how she was gonna come about really, because when she featured in Roanoke she played something completely different, but this was a whole like year later after she'd already featured in Hotel. And the Hotel one I really enjoyed because there's that whole ghost sort of premise to it. There is the vampire twist a little bit, but it's done in quite a cool way actually. I quite liked it. There is a particular scene that I'm pretty fond of, and it's not because the scene itself is brilliant, it's because the music in the scene is brilliant. So if you can, look up the song Tear You Apart. I think that's how you say it. I think I'm going to say it's called Tear You Apart. And that is a brilliant song. It features in a particular scene where these 2 vampires basically go and find 2 people to eat and kind of trick them into sexual things and kill them quite dramatically really. But the music is phenomenal and I love it. So that is one of the main reasons why I love Hotel so much. I just love the character development. I love the fact that there is kind of that Shutter Island feel to it a little bit. So you know, there's a character there that turns out to be, spoiler alert, turns out to be a serial killer in some way, shape or form, but for a long time doesn't really remember it, which is quite interesting, which is basically what happens in Shutter Island to an extent. So that is why I loved Hotel so much. That is just my favourite season so far. I did have to sit and think about this for quite a long time, and it did take me a little while to try and get to a list that I thought was right, to be fair. But, you know, if I was ranking them on title sequences alone, this would probably be a very different order. But I love Hotel as a whole series, and the title sequence is brilliant. It's very haunting sounding. You know, I wasn't mad keen on vampires, but it went into a totally different direction and I really enjoyed it. So that is my rundown of all the American Horror Story series. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up and leave a comment down below. Let me know what you thought. Maybe you've got a different one. Maybe you thought American Horror Story Series 3 was better than everything else. So please let me know, and I will speak to you soon, guys. Bye!